Hello and welcome to Game Theory, the #1 DraftKings prep show in all of the land. I am your host, Monk, aka the Monkmatician, and in this very episode, we're going to be breaking down all 13 fights happening at UFC 279 from a DraftKings perspective. I'll be bringing you all of the pertinent stats that you need to fill those lineups, get those takedowns, and make that money this weekend. Headlined by Khamzat and Nate Diaz, the UFC 279 is sure to be a fantastic pay-per-view. Nothing compared to UFC 280, which we have coming up next month, but I digress. We are not quite there yet. We need to build a little bit more before we get to that absolute banger of a card here. So guys, before we get into it, please hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, help me get to 400. We are so close, about less than 20 subs away from 400. You guys are killing it out there. It means a ton. Please hit that button for me and it would mean even more. Second thing second, check out teamriseorfall.com, guys. Teamriseorfall.com. If you play DFS of any kind, any sport at all, get on over there. Use code MONK, M-O-N-K. Save yourself $10 on a subscription. We drank too much water before this. We got experts in the Discord daily. I mean, by the minute, dropping gems over there. Baseball, football, any sport that you can imagine. We are doing it big over there, posting winners daily. So get on over to teamriseorfall.com. Use code MONK. Save yourself $10 today. Guys, that's going to do it for the business. Let's get right into it. First fight of the night, Darian Weeks going against Johan Lainesse, the White Lion. One of these guys has to win this fight. They are both no wins in the UFC. 0-2 is Weeks, 0-1 is Lainesse, so not a ton of experience, but here we are. Closest line fight on the card when it comes to DraftKings. 8,200 for Weeks, 8,000 for Johan. Both guys have great paces. 3.5 points a minute for Weeks, 4.38 for Johan. However, they are just out here not getting it done. In fact, Johan got knocked out, TKO'd, looks like in the second round, late in the second round of his first fight. Who was that even against? Gabe Green finished him 9 minutes into the fight. Darian Weeks' losses to Brian Barberena in his debut and Ian Gary Machado. I mean, if my lady had the last name of Machado, I might, take that as well. That's pretty sweet last name as far as last names go, especially when it comes to fighting. Darian Weeks, not too much, not too many stats here, but he does put up over 1 point per minute in takedowns and control time, which is a very good number. And Lainesse also 1.43 points per minute in takedowns and control time as well. However, that has not translated to a UFC win as of yet. Both guys getting outstruck per minute, almost by a whole strike for each one. Let's see, both guys controlling a large majority of the grappling percentages. So I don't really know what's going on here. You're going to have to do your tape study on this one for sure, because both guys are putting up decent numbers. They're just not getting the job done. Some very close fights. Strength of schedule, we want to see numbers over 70. Anything less than that is a bit shaky. Anything over that is fantastic. Johan, we're right about 70 there. His actual strength of schedule is 66. His opponent win percentage in his last 5, 70%. And a kind of a grab bag here. Both guys passing 2 categories and failing the other 2. Darian Weeks, sub 70 opponent win rate, sub 70 strength of schedule. Actually, yeah, it's not too great. I'm going to have to give it to Johan on this one, but a very close fight for Ian Gary. The ass whoop index, you want it to be, 0 is a draw. Anything negative, you lost. Anything positive, you won. So he barely lost to Ian Gary according to the stats. And he smashed Barberena, 8.5 ass whoop index, but he got the decision loss on that one. So according to the stats, he won, but not according to the judges. Johan, on the other hand, very close fight with Gabe Green, but as I said, got finished. In fact, it appears that he was, I'm not going to say dominating, but I mean, he had 20% control time, 2 takedowns, and then he got knocked the hell out. So, guys, I'm going to be fading this fight in general, 8,200 and 8,000. I think this one goes to decision more often than not, and I don't think anyone's going to be scoring, outside of 90 points here. So I will be under the field, I think, to both sides of this one. That's how I'm going to play it. This is a high variance fight. Both guys are going to be searching hard. Especially Weeks. You do not want to start 0-3 in the UFC. They're going to be searching hard for that win. So yeah, I mean, I guess I don't even know who to pick. Just I'm fading this one as far as DraftKings goes. I think Computer Monk probably picked Darian Weeks if anybody really cares. But yeah, big fade on the opening fight of the night. Elise Reed Second fight of the night, taking on newcomer Melissa Martinez, Super Melly. I kind of like that name. I kind of hate it, so I'm not really sure what to go with that nickname there. We have no stats for Miss Super Melly. No Dana White Contender Series fights, nothing. Her strength of schedule is terrible. 50% opponent win rate. Her last 5 opponents have a record of 21 and 21. Strength of schedule is 52. Strength of victory is 50. I mean, Elise Reed's strength of schedule numbers are terrible. 60% or more. And she's smashing this chick as far as strength of schedule goes. So I love this salary. It makes optimal. In fact, I think it's 12% under leverage compared to how often, compared to what it's actually owned to how often it actually makes optimal. We are underplaying this fight 12%. So I'll be having a bit more of this one for sure. It is a strawweight fight. Not the magical, women's flyweight, which we like to see, makes optimal more than any other fight in the out of all the divisions, I should say. Elise Reed, though, this pace is god awful. 1.85 points per minute, 18th on the card. 4.69 points is what she gives up. Average DraftKings points per win is 70. She's given up 117 in her 2 UFC losses. I mean, I actually like Reed here at 7,700, but how can you trust those numbers? Those numbers are terrible. They are god awful. She scores no takedown points or control time. In my recollection, all she has is a left hook, which she throws constantly. And if she does connect, it sounds like it lands hard, but that's her only weapon. All you have to do is avoid a left hook. She gets 2.29 points in takedowns and control time per minute scored on her. That is insanity. She gets outstruck by a 1 strike a minute. Let's see, she looked terrible against Sam Hughes. Looked terrible against Corey McKenna, even though she won that fight, and looked terrible getting KO'd in the first round against Sijara Eubanks. I don't know how you could trust her here, but I don't know anything about Melissa Martinez. This is a low-level, high-variance women's MMA fight. So what are we going to do? We're going over the field on this one, guys. I don't know who's going to win. I'm probably going to have more Reed than Martinez here, but we're going over the field. I think this one I think this one's could finish inside the distance, honestly. And for a strawweight fight, that would be, a ton of those don't finish inside the distance unless your name is Joanna. But man, I think this one, somebody's going down in this one. I just have a feeling. Give me over on both sides, because this is going to be a very low-owned fight, especially the Elise Reed side, in my opinion. So, if we're at like 30% when we have 13 fights this week, so ownerships will be a little bit lower across the board than they have been the past couple weeks. If this fight's 40%, I'd be surprised. So I'll be over the field, I think. Man, I just think somebody's going down in this one. Elise Reed's numbers are terrible, guys. I'm just picturing her throwing that angry left hook over and over again. Chad Anheliger, next fight, going against Heilialateng, the Mongolian Knight. 2 great nicknames here. Alateng 3-1-1 in the UFC. Anheliger did win his debut. He is 1-0. 78 and 84, guys. This is another one I'm going to be way over the field on. I feel like this one finishes inside the distance as well. Anheliger's pace, 4 points a minute. That's also what he gives up. He did put up just under 100 points in his DraftKings, or in his one and only UFC win, I should say. Excuse me, I had to get a big cough out there. 2.25 points a minute is all Heilialateng is scoring. 92 and he wins, but man, in his last fight against Kevin Kroom, he deaded that dude in less than a minute. So out of nowhere, he puts up 128 points, makes the optimal lineup, and kills most everyone's lineups immediately, just like that. I don't know, I forget what his ownership was. I could look, maybe we'll look later, but I'm sure it was not very high. Actually, he was fighting Kevin Kroom, so it was probably over 20% there. Let's see. We already talked about pace. 10.9 average value, or his value in his last fight for Anheliger. I like the Anheliger side, although he did give up, almost 2 points a minute in takedowns and control time. Meanwhile, Heilialateng is scoring just under 1 point per minute in both of those categories combined. Who did he fight? Jesse Strader, who's not great at all. And Anheliger was 9,100. He did pay off that salary at a 10.9 value. So not terrible. I think this one finishes inside the distance, like I said, and I am on the Anheliger side, quite honestly. If Hailey won inside the distance, would I be surprised? Absolutely not. But I think I'm going to have much more exposure to Anheliger. Also, this fight, 84 and 7,800, is a great fight to target. Guys, these mid-range fights for salary Voodoo, they make, in fact, this one might make optimal more than any other salary pair put together. You know, when 8,400 specifically fights its natural pair of 7,800, it makes the optimal lineup, I think, like 40 some times out of 68 or 69 times. It is ridiculous how often this salary makes optimal. So I would not be sleeping on this one. I do think this one finishes inside the distance, and I will be over the field on both sides. So already a lot different from last week when, you know, right off the bat, and throughout the card, I was saying how I was going to be under the field on several fights. I was generally right about a lot of them, but a few of them, you know, I got wrong. Obviously, you're not going to get 100% every week, but I did feel good about this, about the advice I gave out last week. I'm going the opposite here already, starting off hot. You know, a big fade on the first fight, and then 2 overexposures. So we'll see how that pays off. Speaking of big fades, Norma Dumont going against Danielle Wolf. I don't know anything about Danielle Wolf except for this. She is 39 years old as of tomorrow, the 8th. Yeah, tomorrow she will be 39 years old. She was or is, I don't know, a professional boxer. She has 1 UFC fight. Actually, take that back. 1 MMA fight, which was a Dana White Contender Series fight, not a UFC fight. So she did win that one. She has 1 fight, guys. She's 1-0. Not in the UFC, in MMA, going against, you know, Norma Dumont. Nothing special in my opinion, but an actual UFC fighter who has a winning record in the UFC of 3-2. 9,200. I'm just going to be avoiding that. That was a long-winded way of saying fade. Big fade on this one. If anything, I mean, actually, I can't say that. I was going to say maybe a little bit of Danielle Wolf for the knockout possibility, but, you know, Dumont has been KO'd before. I forget who that was. Probably, nope, I was wrong. Megan Anderson KO'd her in 3.5 minutes. Danielle Wolf put up only 1.61 points per minute in her Dana White Contender Series fight. 54.2 points in the win. Terrible. Dumont's pace, while a lot better, is still awful. 2.5 points a minute, 78 per win. These numbers are trash for both fighters here. Both of them allowing a ton of takedown and control time points. Don't need to spend a lot of time on Danielle Wolf's one fight. So I mean, her opponent was 5-1. So her strength of schedule numbers are a bit goosed, as they say. It's an old carnival term, a bit goosed. Norma Dumont on the other side, right around 70, so not great, not terrible, with losses, like I said, Megan Anderson and Macy Chiasson in her last one. She has wins over Ashley Evans Smith, Felicia Spencer, which is a decent win. I think, was that the night she retired? Possibly. No, that was a long time ago. And then Aspen Ladd, which was also a good win, I guess. You know, that infamous Ladd Dumont card that we had, where those two headline the card. Anyways, yeah, I'm not really focused on this one. Obviously, my mind's all over the place with this one because I don't care about it, to be quite clear. I don't think, you know, I think this one goes to decision. Big fade on this one. I mean, do you want to put some Danielle Wolf in here in case you get a knockout? Sure, I guess. Not a ton, though. 9,200 and 7,000. I mean, I'm not paying 9,200 for Norma Dumont. And even at 7,000, you're going to get 55 points in a win. What are we doing here? What were her stats in this fight? 51 strikes landed. She got hit with 85. So the pro boxer got hit with 85 strikes to 51 is all she landed. Negative 34 striking differential. Her takedown defense was 100%. I don't know how many Tennant threw right off of this chart, but Tennant also had 30% control time to 0. And the ass whoop index is negative for Danielle Wolf here, so unimpressive. Give me Dumont for the win, and give me a big fade on this one as a whole. Guys, it is time for the main event of the prelims. Jake Collier going against Chris Barnett, 9,100, 7,100. Another big fade for me for this heavyweight fight, which could be surprising. Both guys have losing records, 5-6 for Collier, 1-2 for Barnett. Barnett scores 2 points a minute, allows 4. Collier scores better than that, 3.29 points a minute, but 10 points less per win. Let's see. Collier is $1,300, almost $1,400 over his average salary. Are you going to pay Are you, ask yourself this when you're making your lineups, when you're I know Jake Collier, a lot of these low level heavyweight guys are like meme fighters, you know, your Harry Hunsuckers. He's the best. Jake Collier, he's the top of the division, the actual champ. When you really, all that aside, and I love that more than just like everybody else, not more than everybody else, but just like I love all that shit. But when you're actually constructing your lineup on Friday night, Saturday morning, and you go to click Jake Collier and you see that his salary is $9,100, are you going to click that green plus? It's technically a white plus and a green circle, but are you going to click that green circle, white plus sign? Because I'm fucking not. How can you do that without feeling like a complete asshole? I don't understand. Jake Collier, two of his 5 wins, he's put up over 100 points. Let's see if we can see them in his last 5. Chase Sherman was one of them, who, you know, as the resurgence of Chase Sherman, another guy, a meme fighter. And then John Vellante, he only scored, you know, not even 80 points against. Big fade on this one. Chris Barnett, while I do like the guy's personality, and I like him, he seems like an awesome guy to like hang out with. I don't think he's gonna get. Wow, I almost said I don't think he's gonna get past Jake Collier. Like Jake Collier is some, you know, mythical demon fighter or something, but I think this one's actually close. I think it goes to decision. I think round 3 is going to be one of the sloppiest, sweatiest things that you've ever seen in your life. And I know the kind of shit that you guys watch. You've seen some sloppy, sweaty stuff. This is going to be up there. I mean, the strength of schedule for both guys is awful. Far under 70 in every category. We've even got some 50s in there. Barnett losing to Martin Boudet, who proved against Lukasz Brzeski that he is an awful fighter. And a loss against Ben Rothwell, who's like 40 years old and awesome, but, you know, not in the UFC anymore. His lone win over Jean Vellante. I don't have to tell. Let's reminisce about that just for a second. That spinning heel kick, I think, something like that, to the front flip onto his ass and ball. I would be so scared to like sit on my balls if I did that front flip onto my ass. That would be awful. That could have gone 50-50, Chris. You better be careful, bud. I do think this one goes the distance and the winner scores terribly. So give me a big fade on the Collier and Barnett fight. My goodness. I mean, 9,100 for Collier. just start. What's the meme where you're painting the clown makeup on? That's what I would feel like personally. Next fight, we get another, I mean, banger. Jamie Pickett going against Dennis Tiuliulin. What an extremely fun name to say. I don't know if that's how you say it. That's how I'm saying it. But we'll probably just call him Dennis. 2-3 for Jamie Pickett. 0-1 in the UFC. Guys, can we get someone with a winning record on this pay-per-view card, please? Is that a possibility? Jamie Pickett, 8,300. Tiuliulin, 7,900. Man, I do kind of like this fight for DraftKings. I hate this fight, you know, as a fan. Because, you know, it's Jamie Pickett and Dennis Tiuliulin. 1.93 points for Pickett a minute. Dennis 2.13, and they're both allowing a ton. Dennis allowed almost 5. Pickett allows 3.5. 110 when he loses. Oh my God, these guys give away points, which is why this fight is going to be great to target for DraftKings. These guys are out here getting finished. Well, yeah, they are. They're getting finished. They're getting tons of points scored on them, and they are in fights that are not going the distance lately. So that's a recipe for a good DraftKings matchup. Let's focus on this fight a little bit. This is going to be an under-owned fight because who the hell is Dennis Tiuliulin? No one's going to be putting him in the lineup. And Jamie Pickett's Jamie Pickett. Nobody's going to be putting him in the lineup. So if this one's under 30-35%, I'm going to be well over the field, I feel like, on this one. Pickett has yet to score over 90 points. I mean, these numbers are just very, very subpar. I mean, Pickett gets hit with 4.47 strikes a minute. He lands 2.86. Awful. Tiuliulin is getting outstruck. He got outstruck by a strike and a half per minute in his UFC fight. Let's see. The strength of schedule is decent. I was going to say for both guys, but that's not actually the case. Just for Pickett. Tiuliulin starts off well, but then just goes downhill from there. His only loss in the UFC and his only fight in the UFC was to Alias Kizraev, who looked very good in that fight, subbing him in the second round and absolutely smashing him. Pickett coming off of a Daukaus loss, beat, Ugly Man Holmes, Laureano Staropoli, who's not in the UFC anymore, losses to Jordan Wright, Defon, and Chukwi. Neither of those are aging very well at all. Yeah, I think this one finishes inside the distance. I really do. And I don't know who to pick. Off the top of my head, I'm taking Pickett because he has the much better UFC experience, but Pickett sucks. Tiuliulin could, with his 8 KOs, 80% KO rate, could finish this dude. So I don't know who to pick exactly. My ownership will probably be similar, but that's not a problem. They're 8,300 and 7,900, the second most closely lined fight on the card as far as DraftKings goes. So yeah, I'll be pretty even ownership, but probably over the field as far as total ownership for this fight. Next fight, I mean, this is a smash spot for me, guys. Jailton Almeida going against someone named Anton Turkalj, whose nickname is the Pleasure Man. I'm not saying that again. That was the one time I'm saying it. Nope. Nope, that's a big nope for me. Jailton Almeida, man, 9,500. Not only is he the best salary, and 9,500, I know some of you out there are like, man, salary voodoo, the 9,500 salary is supposed to be the best. We've had misses on the optimal lineup for the past 3 or 4 fights. That's true, but only 6 fighters make the optimal every week. You have to remember that. Also, 9,500 has not lost. It's been smashing. It's been putting up well over 100 points. We had Tyson Pedro, well over 100 points. We had, who did we have last week? That was 9,500. Gosh dang it, I cannot remember. But he put up, you know what, let's just look. 95. Oh, Cyril Gahn put up 99. Sorry, so not 100, but 99. They've been scoring well. The rest of the card's been scoring just that much better. So we are close, guys. And odds say, probability says that we're due. It hasn't happened for about 3 or 4 weeks. They've been smashing us with these 9,500s. I think we're due. Either way, I don't care. I'm smashing this anyway. Salary voodoo aside, we have Jailton Almeida. Look at these numbers, guys. In 8 minutes, 7.5 minutes of fight time, 2 UFC fights, 6.95 points per minute. This is not a typo. 0.05 points per minute is what has been scored on him. He's averaging 116.16. Turkalj has fantastic numbers. This is a Dana White Contender Series fight in which he landed like 11 takedowns. I don't care about Dana White Contender Series fights. The only reason you're even seeing these numbers is so I have some sort of stats. Some stats I consider better than no stats as a stat guy. So if it was up to me, I don't. In fact, as soon as Dana White Contender Series fights are, as soon as this guy actually fights in the UFC, I should say, I take out the DWCS fights. I do not track that. Those very garbage fights that we see every Tuesday night, where someone, it's either 2 terrible guys or, ending in decision, or 2 terrible guys that one of them knocks the other one out because he's way more terrible than the first terrible guy. So I don't track that stuff. But Jailton Almeida putting up godlike numbers here, better than Khamzat's first 2 fights. In fact, I don't think he's had a strike. Yeah. Okay, he has had a couple strikes landed on him, but not too many. Scoring a gazillion points per minute in every category, basically. Turkalj again, and you're saying, why are you just ignoring Turkalj's stats? Because this guy hasn't fought anyone at the UFC level, and this is a short notice fight. Jailton Almeida was supposed to fight Shamil Abdurakhimov. Shamil pulled out, I guess because of injury, but I mean, who would want to fight Jailton Almeida? I'd think of any injury I could in order to pull out from that fight. Anton Turkalj picks it up. He's like a giant guy, 6'4", apparently wrestler. Jailton's going to smash this dude, okay? Smash. The strength of schedule actually is not good. It does not back me up. Jailton Almeida's strength of schedule is terrible, but what are you going to do? The UFC's thrown Danilo Marquez at this dude and Parker Porter at this guy. Turkalj beat someone named Acacio dos Santos as a -200 favorite. He landed 11 takedowns, 21 strikes in a unanimous decision. I think Almeida comes out here and smashes this dude. There's no reason to think otherwise, in my opinion. We got a guy that is his nickname's the Pleasure Man, guys. The Pleasure Man. And he's never fought in the UFC before. I'm not making any connotations with that nickname. I just think it's terrible. It's a terrible name. So give me Jailton Almeida. Hey, maybe Malhadinho means the Pleasure Man in Portuguese. I don't know. If it does, please put it in the comments, and I will equally hate on Jailton Almeida. I promise you that. I'm an equal opportunity hater, and that has always been said about me. Next fight, guys, a banger. an absolute banger. Hakeem Dawodu going against Julian Erosa. This might be the most exciting fight on the card if Li Jingliang, Tony Ferguson wasn't on it. This could be, this is one that I'm going to be focusing on heavily for GPP tournaments and DraftKings. Dawodu, $8,900, $7,300 for Erosa, 2.73 points per minute for Dawodu, so not great, 75.76 when he wins. When he loses, guys, he gives up a ton of points. He's out here getting finished. Well, only one finish. He's averaging 132 points against when he loses. Oh, he did fight Mavzar, who scored 138 on him. That'll do it. Mavzar will do that to you. Julian Erosa, 5-5 in the UFC, 7,300. 3.61 points a minute, allows a ton, 4.43, and when he wins and when he loses, people score well over 100 points. These are stats that we look for when we are thinking about focusing on fights. Guys, I have a new show out this week called Odds on Optimal, where it's going to take, I don't know, I haven't recorded it yet, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. We go over which fights to target from a stat perspective, and stats like this are the ones that are on there. So be sure to check that one out, and you will see what I mean. But I am going to be targeting this one heavily. Dawodu has only put up 90 or more points in 2 UFC wins, but he's given up well over 110 in both of his losses. Meanwhile, Erosa has put up over 100 points. 4 figures. 4 figures? What? 3 figures, 3 digits, triples his best. He's put up over 100 points in 4 of 5 UFC wins, and he's given up over 90 points in 4 of 5 UFC losses. Guys, there's a ton of points in Dawodu and Erosa fights here. The bonus points per loss, I mean, 72, 70. They're out here getting finished. Erosa's been KO'd 4 times. 4 out of his 5 losses are KO TKOs in the UFC. Strength of schedule is much, much better for Dawodu. I mean, his last 5 opponent win rate might be the best on the card, 82.5%. Strength of schedule is almost 79. These are fantastic numbers, maybe the best on the card. Meanwhile, Erosa, a very good strength of schedule, but not compared to Dawodu, but well over 70 in 3 of 4 categories. Dawodu coming off of a Trezano win, a Mavzar loss, but who's not losing to Mavzar? Spoiler alert, everyone he fights because he's undefeated. Dawodu beating Zubaira, Julio Arce, and Yoshinori Hori. Julian Erosa coming off of Steve Peterson. That Steven Peterson fight was a maybe fight of the year contender. It was amazing. Beat Charles Jourdain, lost to Sungwoo Choi, beat Nate Landwehr, who's the hot, prospect-ish fighter as of his last UFC performance against David Onama. And then he comes off a win over Sean Woodson, in which he was a plus 395 dog. My God. So Erosa's out here doing big, big things for the most part. I think someone's making the optimal out of this fight. I think this one finishes inside the distance, and I will be very high on both sides, well over the field, I believe, on both sides of this one. Mostly because Khamzat's going to be a mazillion percent owned. So you're going to have a ton of, just go under on Khamzat, and you're going to have a ton of exposure on a bunch of other guys that you would want to get to. Next fight, guys, I think we're on to the main card now. Johnny Walker going against Ion Cutelaba. This one, again, a fantastic fight as far as DraftKings. I think someone definitely gets finished here. Walker does not score well. Poor pace, 2.31 points a minute. But when he does win, guys, 4 UFC wins, he's averaging 116.5. When he loses, he's given up 92, but his defensive pace is bad, 3.5 points a minute. Cutelaba scoring 4.3 a minute, 110 when he wins. Puts up a decent defensive pace, 3rd best on the card, and only allows 91.5 points when he loses. The offensive pace here is fantastic for both guys. The DraftKings points per win, I should say. Pretty good. 76 and 8,600 is a great salary pair to play. Fantastic. Another mid-range salary pair that is really, really makes the optimal at a high rate, which is what you want to see, obviously. All 4 wins from Johnny Walker, he's put up over 100 points. And 3 of his 4 losses, he's given up over 100 points. Meanwhile, Cutelaba has put up over 100 in 4 of 5 UFC wins and over 110 in 3 of those wins, guys. So a ton of points, like I'm saying, flying around these fights. One reason why we are going to be targeting this one, Cutelaba is landing exactly 2 points per minute in takedowns and control time over his UFC career. Meanwhile, Walker is giving up well over a point per minute in those categories. It could be an interesting angle to check out. You're going to want to see what Johnny Walker's takedown defense looks like. In fact, we have it down here. 53.5% or 53.85% in his UFC career. So not good. That's the angle. If I was Ian Cutelaba, but if I also had fight IQ, I would be picking myself every time because I would know I'd be going for takedowns here. But as we know, Ian Cutelaba not the best in the fight IQ department. So is he going to stand and bang with Johnny Walker? Who knows? He could easily get caught with something. If he goes for takedowns, which he should, he lands 4.75 takedowns per 15 minutes, the highest rate on the entire card. And Johnny Walker has a 53% takedown defense. This should be easy for Cutelaba. If he finishes it, great. If it goes to decision, I think he has a gazillion takedowns, and he'll score fantastically for DraftKings. So I am picking this fight to target in DraftKings for sure. I mean, Walker's 1-4 in his last 5. His only win to Ryan Spann. Cutelaba, only one win in his last 5, where he is 1-3-1. Someone needs a win here. I mean, how long can we keep these guys on? And they're both young guys, but these records are god awful. God awful. I think somebody's getting finished. I think the winner scores a ton of points, and even if the finish does not happen, Cutelaba should win and should score well if he lands those takedowns. So it's all dependent on what you think Cutelaba is going to do. I'm going to be well over the field on him in the hopes that he shows some sort of fight IQ. He's proven that to me 0% so far in his UFC career. I don't know why I think that he would start now, but there's always a chance. And if he doesn't, well, Walker could bonk him and get back in the win column. So give me over on both sides here. It's going to be a super slop fest. I love it. Irene Aldana going against Macy Chiasson. Again, are we paying $8,800 for Irene Aldana? 2.8 points per minute, 93.5 per win. Chiasson scoring much, much better than that. 4.1 points a minute, 102 per win, and she's $1,200 under her average salary. I think Aldana probably wins this one. Let's see the histories here. 3-2 in her last 5 with losses to Holm and Pennington, both decisions. Meanwhile, she did KO. She KO'd Ketlin Vieta and Yana Kunitskaya both in the first round. Chiasson just coming off of a Norma Dumont win. Also lost to Raquel Pennington and Lena Landsberg a few years ago with wins over Shayna Young and Marion Renault. So the strength schedule, yeah, not as good as Irene Aldana, of course. I like Chiasson here. I think Aldana gets it done. I like the upside of Chiasson's scoring ability. That's what I'm trying to say. 5 of her 6 wins, guys, she has scored over 100 points, well over 1 point per minute in takedown, almost 1.5 points in takedowns and control time. Meanwhile, Aldana out here giving up almost a 0.5 point per minute in those categories. So again, if we can get some takedowns and some ground game working by Chiasson, she has a chance here. I'll be over the field on the $7,400 fighter this week for sure, and I'll probably be a bit under on Aldana, even though I do think this one goes to decision. I don't like any of the numbers, the scoring numbers that Aldana's put up. I mean, that's ridiculous. I do. She has put up 110 and 117 with knockout wins, like I said, over Vieta and Kunitskaya. But Chiasson has never been knocked out, TKO'd, I should say, in her career. And maybe those other women had neither until they fought Aldana. So Chiasson will have to keep her head on a swivel. But she's $1,200 under with a huge takedown upside and big DraftKings scoring upside, guys. So I will be over the field on Chiasson, probably a bit under on Aldana, even though Aldana probably wins. I like the Chiasson upside. Co-main event, guys. Man, talk about fantastic fights here. The return of Daniel Rodriguez. It's been just over a year, and he is taking on Kevin Holland. Everybody and their mom on Kevin Holland this week. This one is at catchweight. I believe this is a kind of short notice fight, something. Forget what happened exactly, but yeah, for some reason it's at 180. I know I read about why earlier, and for some I just can't remember. I think it was some short notice type deal. But I digress. 8,700 for Holland, 75 for Rodriguez. Holland scores decently well. Three points a minute, 100 points per win. Gives up a ton of points as well. He's only $187 over his average. D-Rod, on the other hand, 4.16 points a minute, 102 per win. His defensive pace, decent, 2.92 points a minute. And when he lost, he only gave up 54 points. So nobody's really scoring points on D-Rod, who's also 200-0 in street and prison fights, as we should never forget. Kevin Holland, 6 of his 10 UFC wins, he's put up over 90, 4 of them over 100, 3 over 110. Meanwhile, Rodriguez, 4 of 6 wins over 90, 3 of them over 100 and 1 over 110. Never given up even 90 points, as we just talked about. Holland is out here giving up tons of takedowns and control time points, but Daniel Rodriguez gives up a ton of those as well, and does not throw any himself. So I expect, I don't know what to expect. I expect a good fight. Kevin Holland hasn't landed a takedown since Derek Brunson, which was only back in March of 2021. Strength of schedule is going to go to D-Rod, but it is very, very close. Holland coming off wins over Means, Cowboy Oliveira, no contest against Daukaus, and then 2 losses, Vettori and Brunson. Meanwhile, Rodriguez coming off of wins over Kevin Lee, Parsons, Mike Perry, and Dwight Grant, no longer in the UFC. I don't know what to think about this one. Stats tell me I should go over. Stats tell me it should finish inside the distance. I think this one goes to decision. Guys, check out Odds on Optimal later on today. I think I'm going to be releasing it today. It's a pay-per-view week. I need to get my stuff out as early as possible. But long story short, on Holland and Rodriguez on the Odds on Optimal show, it is not one that I will be targeting. Guys do not tend to score a ton of over 100 points. Optimal score. They don't tend to score optimally, I should say. So check that show out. I will talk about this fight for sure, as it is going to be a banger fight. But as far as DraftKings goes, all the Odds on Optimal stuff aside, I just have a feeling Rodriguez wins this by decision. I just have that feeling. I don't know why, but I do. I think it goes to decision. I mean, maybe Holland. I mean, Rodriguez never been subbed. He's at least a blue belt. I want to say he's more than that, but I don't know off the top of my head. I have a feeling this one goes Rodriguez, guys. I can't explain it. I think Rodriguez by decision is the victory here. I mean, obviously I might be wrong about that, but I just have this feeling. So I think I'm going to be under on this one. This fight's going to be very heavily owned, in my opinion, so you can get yourself some DraftKings leverage by going under position on both sides. And I think Kevin Holland's going to be a very, very high-owned fighter this week. So I'll be well under the field on him. Maybe a bit under on Rodriguez as well, but not quite as much as I will be on Holland. It's just a feeling I have. I don't know. And that could change. Be sure to tune into Happy Hour on Friday, and I will let you know my final DraftKings thoughts going into the weekend. Li Jingliang, co-main event, going against Tony El Cucuy Ferguson. Guys, I know that a lot of you are Ferguson fans. I'm a Ferguson fan. But come on, man. He's 38 and a half years old, okay? Towards the end of his career. He was just, his head just got kicked off by Michael Chandler 123 days ago. So 4 months ago. 4 months since he got brutally KO'd. I think that's way too soon to be coming back, especially against a freak of nature like Jingliang Li, or Li Jingliang, excuse me. 3.1 points a minute, 96.31 when he wins. This dude's got mad power, the second highest power index on the entire card. Meanwhile, Ferguson has the 10th best chin dex, so not a great chin dex there, about half. Ferguson, 2.57 points a minute, 95 when he wins. I mean, I don't really care about the points too much in this one. I care about the matchup. Li Jingliang putting up 72% of the time he scores 90 or more points. 54, so 6 out of his 11 wins, he puts up over 100 points. I mean, Ferguson, 5 UFC losses, 4 of them his opponents have put up over 90. So out here giving up points, giving up takedown and control time points. I think Lee wins this one. I think he finishes Tony Ferguson, to be honest. I think he does. The winner, on average, scores about 60-some bonus points between these guys. Strength of schedule is much, much higher for Li Jingliang. A lot of that has to do with Khamzat, but Muslim Salikov also had a fantastic strength of schedule, and Li Jingliang just finished him in the second round. He beat Santiago Ponzinibbio. He beat Zaleski dos Santos, lost to Neil Magny, which, not aging well. But Ferguson, I mean, the only win in his last 5 is Donald Cowboy Cerrone back in 2019. I mean, he's fought the who's who after that, don't get me wrong. Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira, Beneil Dariush, Michael Chandler. Ever heard of him? So I mean, he's fighting these ridiculous guys, and I think he's coming back too early from that head kick knockout from Michael Chandler. I think Li Jingliang looked great against Salikov. I think he hits like a fucking truck. And I think he's going to finish Tony Ferguson here. I'm going to be over the field on this fight. I'm going to be well over the field on Li Jingliang. I'll probably be over the field on Tony Ferguson, honestly, unless his ownership is something that I'm not predicting. Like, I don't think he's going to be more than... Actually, man, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be more than 25%, in which case I'll probably be around that, maybe a little bit more. I'm planning on being well over the field here on Li Jingliang. He's made optimal in 2 out of his past 3 fights, guys. His only hiccup lately was to Khamzat. I mean, what are you going to do about that? What are you going to do about that? So that is aging. That's a loss that will age like fine wine, most likely. Give me Li Jingliang. Give me Li Jingliang early. Not early, but inside the distance. And I think whoever wins this fight makes optimal. This is one I will be targeting for sure. Guys, we are at 40 minutes. Main event time. Before we get into it, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe, help me get to 400 subs, and share this with a friend that plays in different contests as you. We really appreciate that, guys. Main event time. Here we go. Khamzat Chimaev going against Nate Diaz. Why is this fight happening? Who knows? But it should not be happening. I think Khamzat's going to smash here. I don't think I'm alone in my thinking. 9,600, the highest salary DraftKings offers. 7 points a minute. Even after that Gilbert Burns fight, he's only allowing 1.89 points per minute total in his career. That is the best number on the card overall. 118 is what he scores per win. Average value of 12.5. He is 200 over his average. As I said, the highest possible salary that DraftKings offers. Nate Diaz is out here allowing points, guys. 3.61 defensive points per minute. 103, almost 104 per loss. He is 1,200 under his average salary, but I mean, come on. What are we doing? 4 out of 5 wins, Khamzat has put up over 110 points. Meanwhile, if Nate does win, scores very, very well. 14 of 15 wins, over 90 points. 10 of them over 110. What's this going to be? 8 of them over, or 10 of them over 100, 8 of them over 110. Meanwhile, when he loses, I mean, he's given up, what's this? 9 out of 11 fights, he's given up 90 or more points. 5 of them over 100, 3 of them over 110. He's out here giving up a ton of points. Gives up a ton of points on his back, guys. 1.4 points a minute is what Nate Diaz gives up in takedowns and control time. That is not what you want to see when you're going against Khamzat, who scores 2 points per minute in those categories. The strength of schedule is very close, so we got to give Nate Diaz credit for that. He is 2-3 in his last 5 with losses to McGregor, Masvidal, and Edwards. His wins against Pettis and the first McGregor fight. Meanwhile, Chimaev slowly getting better and better opponents. John Phillips, Reese McKee, GM3, Li Jingliang, and Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns was the closest fight. It wasn't even that close according to the stats, and he still scored over 100 points. Give me Khamzat all day here, guys. His projections are through the freaking roof. I would be shocked. I'd be more shocked if Nate Diaz won this fight than when Leon head kicked Usman for the win. I mean, I'm not going all in on Khamzat. I think Khamzat's going to win 80% of the time they fight, but 9,600 is a bit too much for me to pay. That salary has made the optimal lineup 1 time in 12 uses. That's it. It is one of the worst statistical salaries you can play on DraftKings. Therefore, I will likely be under the field on Chimaev. I'll just be throwing all of that under the field on Chimaev juice onto Yelton Almeida at 9,500. That said, I'm going to be nowhere close to the bottom of the barrel on Chimaev. I'll still have a decent percentage of him, but 9,600 is just too much. I mean, he could come. Is he going to finish Nate Diaz in the first round? Maybe. Does he? What happens if to get a sub win, he'd have to get a takedown? He's probably not getting a knockdown. He'll probably ragdoll him, so that's 5 points. A bit of control time, get position. Could score well, but you'd rather have the knockdown points, 10 points in that to get up into the optimal. I'm just rambling at this point, guys. I still have 2 more videos to record, so hopefully I'll have my thoughts together a little better than that. I'm just trying to think of why I would play Nate Diaz, and I'm finding very few reasons. So give me Khamzat Chimaev here. I'll probably be under the field because as of yesterday, I mean, without Yelton Almeida, he was like 70% owned because Yelton just went on DraftKings for some reason yesterday. So I'm sure he's going to be 60%. At 9,600, you're going to have a ton of leverage if you go under the field on him. And these guys just throwing him in their lineups. I mean, I don't even see how you could be at 50%, honestly. At 9,600, who else are you going to be getting? The bottom of the barrel this week is god-awful. So who else are you going to be possibly be getting? I don't know. But I will not be anywhere close to the field on Khamzat, even though I do think he smashes this week. All right, guys, we did it. That's all 13 fights. Let's get into Computer Monk's picks for this week. UFC 279 happening September 10th. Who do we got, guys? Computer Monk picks Darian Weeks in the opening fight of the night by decision. Melissa Martinez by finish. Chad Anheliger by decision. Love that pick. I am on the Anheliger side for DraftKings, and at 7,800, you got to love that. Norma Dumont by decision. Jake Collier by finish. Wow, that would be interesting. Jamie Pickett by decision. Yelton Almeida by decision. Oh my goodness. See, this is why I hate Dana White Contender Series fights, guys. This dude landed 11 takedowns against a nobody, and now he's going to a decision against Almeida. I hate doing those stats. They're just not equal. They're not even in the same league. It's like comparing AAA ball to the major leagues. It's ridiculous. Hakeem Dawodu over Julian Erosa by finish. Ian Cutelaba over Johnny Walker by finish. That could be interesting. Macy Chiasson underdog win over Irene Aldana by decision. Daniel Rodriguez underdog win over Kevin Holland by decision. Li Jingliang finishes Tony Ferguson, and Khamzat Chimaev by decision over Nate Diaz, the widest odds on the card according to Computer Monk. 80% to 20% for Khamzat, but Computer Monk thinks he wins by decision. So guys, as I said, that is gonna do it. Thank you so much for sticking around with me. Hopefully this was beneficial to you. If it was, if you learned something, be sure, like I said, to share this with a friend that plays in different DraftKings contests than you. Check out teamriserfall.com, use code MONK, save yourself $10 today. Check out the MMA Engine, me, Wheezy, Lou, and Brady doing big things over there, bringing you content several times a day, several days a week before each and every UFC card. And guys, check out Salary Voodoo on MMA Engine. Check out the new show right here on this channel, Odds on Optimal, that should be out at some point today, Wednesday, September 7th. It will be out today, probably in the afternoon. So check that show out. Tells you what fights to focus on. And guys, I want all of you to enjoy the fights. So enjoy, and we will see you next time.